Good afternoon, boys and girls. I'm on my, I don't know, 20th take right now. It's right before Christmas, and the Land Rover, Sandy the Landy here, who I'm in, has gotten into the Christmas spirit, already, very early, and put her own accent lights on for me, and as you can probably see here, yeah, there she is. So there's Sandy's getting into the Christmas spirit by putting her own lights on for me. So anyway, I ran the scan code and on the gap tool, and there's the mileage too right now. I haven't been driving her a lot actually, and maybe that's why she's pissed off with me. So it turns out it was MAP, so P0106-00. MAP, I think was, oh god, my brain's gone. It was the manifold absolute pressure sensor, I guess, or manifold absolute pressure is problematic. So I went ahead and I bought a new sensor, and this is the part number here. Well, it will focus on that. There's the number there. So I'm gonna, actually, I don't even know where this is. Somewhere on the manifold air intake system, I'm guessing, or on the top of the engine, or near the, the throttle body, probably around there somewhere. You see, I lost the other thing I lost is my access to the Land Rover PDF for LR4s. So I've kind of lost that already. So I've got to find another free one of those. But so there was the cost. 65 bucks 12 cents, and it was I got it through Amazon. So there's the little code there, the SKU, if you have an issue yourself with your manifold absolute pressure detecting. The other thing I'll quickly point out to you too is if you have a gap tool and you have it fastened somewhere. So I had my gap tool. Is my gap tool. It's an old one now, and it's updated, but it's old. But if you have your gap tool, like I did, velcroed underneath your center console, which is where I kept mine, if you do go off-road an awful lot like I do, and Sandy spends most of the time in the woods, what happens is the case of the gap tool starts to separate, and what happened was it actually fell apart, so I ended up putting a cable tie around it. So it's kept it together, but from being velcroed underneath my center console, just all the shaking allowed it to separate. So I've kind of glued it all back together and put a cable tie around it just to give it some support now. So if you think about doing that, don't do that. Don't velcro it to the underside of your center console. So, I had mine kind of velcroed in there, so it was kind of velcroed on the top, and it worked until I found it separated down in there. So I'm going to put the manifold air pressure sensor in, absolute pressure sensor, and see if that solves Sandy's Christmas lighting. I don't know whether it will or not. But for those of you that have Land Rovers, in particular the worrywarts from from folks from Toyota and Honda and all of those deemed reliable brands, if you do get a check engine light on a Land Rover like this, just I've been driving around with this flashing on and off now for 6 months. And I don't use it often, only when I kind of take the dog out into the forest. I use this Land Rover, so she's my kind of just scoot around mobile. I do have to do the upper control arms on the rear, because they're rattling like a bitch. It's like a skeleton having a wank in a cupboard. Those things clank and rattle. So all the bushings are shot in the back, so I'm just going to buy new upper control arms. I think one was $99 and one was $105. Delco do them, I think, if you go to partsgeek.com. I am not sponsored, by the way, so if you do go to partsgeek.com, you should be able to buy the upper control arms relatively cheaply. and I think they're all made in fucking China. So you know, Chinesium's going to be abounding in them, but at least it'll solve the problem relatively cheaply if you can do the job yourself, which is what I will be doing. So I've got some time over Christmas that I'll be dedicating to do some repairs on Sandy. The other thing too is my sunroof developed a little bit of a leak, and what I was finding is a wet patch in the carpet, but also if you take these out, the little airbag access nuts, and shove your finger in there, I was actually getting wet inside there, and there was also wet up under this lip. It was like a little puddle under here. So I knew my sunroof was leaking, and I hadn't had time to do it because of how busy I was earlier this season. So I just used some of that fucking HVAC foil tape. just taped the outside seal of the sunroof, and then I just took the fuse out, so nobody could open or close the sunroof. But that's the other thing I discovered. So this sunroof's got to be cleaned out. I've got to get the lines blown out. There's a line that goes down there, goes down here, and obviously comes out of the side gills, and that's where the water flushes out from the drains out from the drip edge up here. So some things I got to do on Sandy. I've got to replace the reflector on the back too, because I broke the reflector by backing into the trailer. And I did actually drive into a building in it, and I just creased the plastic at the front a little bit. You know, I had this bloody great big trailer on this 25-foot long trailer, this enclosed trailer on the back of this thing, and I was more interested in where the back of the trailer was going, or I should say the roof of the trailer, and I wasn't paying attention to a building, and I admit I drove into a building. So I kind of folded the plastic up a little bit on a post. Luckily, it was only very, very slow moving, maybe less than half a mile an hour, because I was maneuvering a trailer, but I was paying more attention to the trailer than where I was actually driving. So I did hit a building, I admit. But other than that, this thing's been great. You know, it's one of those things, isn't it? You know, the more you worry about them, the more things go wrong, I think, with Land Rovers, and the less you worry about them and don't give a fuck, the less that goes wrong. So this thing's been an absolute little beast, and like I said, she's on 156,280 miles now, 268 miles. So you know, the miles are building up. You know, and one modification I did do is, we'll just go around the side here real quick. Oh, just gonna do that to me. Gonna do that to me, are you? Pain in the arse. So the other thing I did was, I took the seat out because Willow now is 12 years old, and she has a hard time. She couldn't jump up onto the tailgate anymore, even with the suspension lowered. And you know, this Land Rover has been a godsend for that too, because she had leg issues from an old coyote injury, and this vehicle now actually it's like a little van. I can put big objects in here, stand them up, but also it acts as a stepping stone for the dog. So I just took the seat out, saved myself £95 because these seats are freaking heavy, and she can sit in the back now, and this has actually worked out quite well. And you know, it's a bit weird if you have passengers, but you know, I can always put the back two seats up because there's two seats under there, so you can still have 4 seats and a little center pass through, so it's like a little bus. So it's kind of funny. And then this is my setup. I've got some water shoes up in there, some carabiners and other shit I use out in the woods. So you know, when I'm doing outfitting and that kind of thing. So yeah, so this has actually worked out all right too. My little roof tent here, my little storage net. So I'm going to get going on this map sensor, and I'll give you a fill in when I've figured out what the hell I'm doing and if I can find it. Okay folks, over and out for now.